got the somewhat put back together transmission here. Still waiting on parts. Speedway Motors let us down big time. Anyways, got to get that thing put back together. I'm Ryan. That's Eric right there. Watching Cherezian racing. We're just a couple of blue collar boys about to drink some beer, work on a race car. Over time, oh, we got a bush. A couple more bushes left and a whole bunch of Coke. The best. All right. What do you guys want to listen to? Good choice. Boy, Bocephus. All right, so like I said, Speedway Motors let us down on parts, but it's actually not their fault because I was checking and monitoring the package, and it showed up with about 30 miles of my house yesterday morning at 4 a.m. So it's obviously something to do with the local post office or something not getting the package here. I ended up coming here on my lunch and just waiting for the post office guy because I know when he comes by, USPS, and he just blew right past my mailbox. Didn't drop anything off. So I'm assuming this stuff was going to come tomorrow, but basically what I have to do is I have to get the rear output shaft main bearing on before I can start assembling the rest of the stuff. It goes right here in the tail shaft housing. The big old bearing that sits right in there, and then also in that package is going to be coming the rear output shaft bearing for the slip yoke. So those are really the only two big parts we're waiting for, besides our inner axle seal, which is in there. If you guys saw the last video, we ripped out the gear and we're putting in our new gear, but we had a problem with the rear right rear axle seal leaking pretty bad, so waiting on that. So kind of just waiting on a bunch of stuff here. Gonna see what I can get myself into. I'm sure there's something we can figure out. You guys like my shirt? Claude, appreciate you sending me this shirt. If you guys haven't seen Ratliff Racing on YouTube, go ahead and check him out. He's a 90%er like we are, does things very similar, but he's out there in North Carolina. Dale Jr.'s neighbor, fun fact about him, and he races out there at East Lincoln Speedway and Friendship Motor Speedway, that general area. But I appreciate you sending me the shirt, Claude. If you guys want to send me some stuff, send us some hats or shirts or whatever, go ahead and message me on Facebook or Instagram, or if you don't have that, you're old school, email works best too. supertruckarmo12@gmail.com. Got a new body hammer. New used. Nick gave it to me, but it's rubber and it's probably gonna work pretty good on banging out some sheet metal. Okay, so as you can see, there's all kinds of oil all over this damn frame and all the components, radiator, whatnot. And this has been on here since, what, freaking Halloween, right?
Radiator?
No,
Yeah.
all this freaking oil from the power steering.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Halloween, October 31st. As you can see, there's all kinds of grime. So I'm finally cleaning it up. All over my transponder. Hope that thing still works. We'll find out at Stockton because they got their race monitor up and running. Hope that guy's not dead because those things are bank. They're hard to find now. Yeah. So you don't want a lot of preload on the bearings. You just want there to be preload. So find 0 where it kind of just stops. That's plenty, right? And normally from there, I'll just go ahead and rotate it to the next one until you see the hole.
Okay.
Like my little contraption here. It's what we do when you have no parts to work on the race car. We start grilling and making up inventions. What do you call this? A hot dog burger? Didn't have any hot dog buns, but got hamburger buns, making something work. Is it good?
Gets the job done.
Gets the job done. You heard from the man. Got a couple of burgers in here. Yeah, it's 8:30 or whatever, and we got nothing really to do on the agenda because we got no parts. So if you guys haven't been with us before, we like to use the motto bent but not broken. Let me show you what that means real quick. I'm describing to them what bent but not broken is. Maybe you can explain. What are you doing here?
Failing.
Yeah, so we got a freaking slip yoke that don't work too well because it got all goofed up by our back bearing. So we're gonna do our best job right here with a little bit of
sandpaper,
microfiber, and some turtle wax or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah,
it's not too far off to begin with, really.
No,
but
I can feel it.
It's a little more chunky than the rest of it.
Right here.
It's still turtle wax, but it's white. Whatever that means. Alright, so Eric did his best polish job on this yoke here. You really can't see, I don't think, with the camera, but it's a lot smoother than it used to be. Bent but not broken. This is going to work again for us. And I am currently under the car scraping off the rear end where the gear goes in, because I use RTV instead of a gasket. I just put a little bit of ultra gray on there every time. Works pretty good, so I'm scraping it off. Well, 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 look what finally showed up. Speedway Motors. It is currently Friday afternoon and it just showed up. So a little bit late, but better late than never. Obviously last night we couldn't get a whole lot of stuff done without these parts, but we did get some stuff done nonetheless, and we barbecued a little bit, so it wasn't a bad night. But hopefully everything in this box is what I need to get this thing back together. I'm gonna start putting this tranny back together. Hopefully, if the bearings are in here. This is the first time I've tried to take apart one of these Falcon transmissions, and it actually went very smooth. This is super easy to work on. Very little parts in there. Pretty simple. They got a good diagram on their website. You can just check out what where everything goes and whatnot in there. I don't know about you guys, but I love getting race car parts in the mail, opening it up. It's like Christmas every time you get a package. Throwback to when you're 12 years old. All right, so got some swedge tubes. There's our rear output shaft slip yoke bearing. I got 2 of them just in case this ever happens again. This should be our main bearing, main tail shaft bearing. This guy, I don't know what the deal was, but the old one, it was all chunky. It was not happy at all. This one feels like butter, baby, like butter. This was the inner axle seal we used to run, just a single lip seal, and for whatever reason it leaked really bad, even though it does fit somewhat good. So I'm gonna try out this universal one that seems like it'll take up a little bit more slop if it's not really true or something in there. Only one way to find out, and that's put it in and run it. All right, guys, I just packed this seals it inner axle seal full of grease, because that's what the instructions say. I'm gonna go ahead and coat it up with some RTV and stick it right in. All right, so I don't think that's gonna leak. I got all kinds of silicone in there. A little bit too much, but the more the merrier. I'm gonna clean all this crap out. Hopefully that will seal it up pretty good. Got her all doctored up with RTV. Time for my favorite part, putting the gear in. This is what separates the man from the boys right here. Yeah, baby. Let's do it. Making them muzzle shows. Yeah, down in there. Yeah, buddy. All right, axle snout seals installed, gears installed. I'm gonna let the RTV drop a little bit before I start putting some gear oil in it. But that's pretty much done for the time being, so I can start working on the transmission now. I don't know if you guys can hear with the music in the background, but this is the new bearing. Okay, let's see if you can tell the difference between the old bearing. Yeah, you can definitely tell. So it appears I need a press to press this guy on. The old one I just smacked off with a screwdriver on this little edge right here, but to get it back on, it's gonna be kind of difficult. So I found this crazy thing, don't know what it is, but it fits perfectly. You don't need a press. There it is. So now there's one snap ring that holds that baby on, if I can find it. I believe it's this guy right here. And would you look at that, fits right in the groove. So I probably should have brought my heavy duty snap ring plier, because this is one hell of a snap ring. But these little $3 Craftsman snap ring pliers I picked up a while back, gonna have to do. See the best that I can get it done. Come on, baby, get down there. Okay, it's kind of there. Need a little smackaroo. There she is. All right, so I got this bearing seated in the case, and this is an outside snap ring. And Falcon knew what they're doing here, because they put a couple notches in there so you can use some needle nose pliers. Just basic tools to get it in. Like a glove. Trying to tap this guy in. This is a little bit too small. So let me show you guys why you need to keep a scrap pile around. Got all kinds of junk in here. Keyword is junk. But that's the right size right there, boys and girls. Junk. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. Okay, one thing you cannot forget is the piston spacer, whatever you want to call it, for the clutch apply. So get that guy in there. Okay, you gotta put a little RTV on these bolts, because all three of them, three on this side and there's two on that side, all five of them go directly into the tranny where there's fluid. So you gotta make sure you seal up the threads. All right, so I got the transmission all put back together, and in the car, I've been working kind of slow, but you know what they say, slow in the shop equals fast in the track. So got it all slammed back in there. I don't know if you guys can see that far. And then all I gotta do is basically hook up the clutch line to it, bleed it, and then fill it up with the tranny fluid once I get the drive shaft in. But first I'm gonna try to get this right rear hub on, slap the axles in. So what I have to do is I have to take this bearing and pack it with grease, because it's all oiled up, and then should be ready to go. For you guys who didn't see what I did on the transmission besides replace this main bearing, I went ahead and I just put a little rebuild kit on it. Some of the clutch packs, or the clutch friction discs were kind of going away and getting burnt up, and the backing plate right here was broken half. So just put a little rebuild kit in it. I'll tell you what, this is one of the coolest inventions they ever came out with, this wheel bearing packer. This thing is trick, man. All I gotta do is stand on it and it packs the crap out of the bearing. Man, check this out. It's the finished product. Not a freaking air bubble in it. Okay, so the right rear hub's all on there. I don't have any special tools here, so I use a needle nose pliers for the adjuster nut in there. And then let me show you what this is like over here. For the axle puller, I kind of specially made my own tool here. Found a bolt that threads into the axle, and I welded a much larger bolt on the end of it to be a puller and installation tool without costing a dang dime. So this is all done. I just gotta put this axle cap on here and probably put the drive shaft back in. That's next. Drive shaft is all in. Rear end's just waiting on getting filled up with oil, and I gotta fill the tranny up with oil. Then I'm gonna drop it back down on the ground and get this thing on the scales probably tomorrow. I'm not gonna do it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow before the race. We're gonna be racing Stockton dirt track, which is not that far away from us, probably about 35 minutes. So we're gonna try that tomorrow. We have not been to Stockton since last February of 2020 because basically all last season they're closed due to the COVID crap. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there. It's a much bigger track than Antioch. We went down 4 gear sizes, and they say it's a 4/10 mile. It's real close to a half mile. It's a big track, and I like running there a lot. They usually have a nice speedy track, but the problem is it gets really hooked up and it gets really rough, like really rough. So I like it when it's smooth and it doesn't tear a bunch of stuff up. But it's got big old sweeping corners. You guys can go back and check out some of the old videos I had last year of racing there. It's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping for a good night. I'm hoping there's gonna be some cars there to race with. I just kind of still think that right now it's beginning of season, not a lot of guys are ready. So we'll see. Hopefully we're getting a couple cars to race with, unlike last time when we're only racing with 1 car there. So I'm gonna get this thing back down on the ground. I think I told you guys that we changed the springs. We stiffened up the right front and the right rear. Trying to get this thing a little more tame. And then when I get on the scales, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the rear roll center so it doesn't lay over on the right rear so hard. It's definitely not the track to be laying over and pulling left front up like I was doing last race at Stockton, because it gets rough, like I said. So gonna try that out and see how it goes. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate y'all watching as usual, and just hoping for another good night. Need another night that we can get the car back in here with no big repairs and start working on the body so it looks a little better, and maybe has some more aero advantages here. Still got Old Faithful in here. This is the motor I built 3 seasons ago. Still running strong. Blows a little bit of blue smoke. I know the rings are getting tired, but it's still running strong. So keep our fingers crossed that everything holds up tomorrow for us, guys. All right, Bent but not broken. We'll see you next time on Cherezian Racing.